Good afternoon. Well, good afternoon. Welcome to your Lehigh County Authority Board of Directors. Today is Monday, July 14, 2025. The meeting has been held either in person or via Zoom or phone calls. Lisa, would you please be kind enough to roll call for the Board of Directors?
You bet. Roll call of the board, Amir Famili.
Here.
Jeff Morgan.
Here.
Ed Lyons.
Here.
Linda Rosenfeld.
Here.
Norma Cusick. Kevin Baker. Sean Ziller.
Here.
Mark Gramis. Peter Dent.
Here.
All right, we have 6 board members present.
Thank you.
So we do have a quorum.
So the package for this meeting was sent via mail to all the board of directors and was also emailed and also is posted on the website. If you have not received the package, please talk to Lisa to make the arrangement. Lisa will go into reviewing the agenda, any changes to agenda, any need for the executive session.
So there's no changes to the agenda today. We will have an executive session following the close of this meeting to discuss a matter of potential litigation.
Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. Moving on to the approval of the last meeting minutes. Linda, please.
I move that the minutes be approved.
And I'll second.
Okay, the motion made by Linda, second by Sean. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any abstain? No? Okay. We're moving to the next item on the agenda. Any public comments on any item which is not on the agenda?
Thank you, Amir.
Nope. No, thank you.
Jennifer, and thank you, Brian. Thanks for your presence.
So members of the public here,
Please.
You want me to stand here or
Any,
sit, stand, whatever is most comfortable.
whatever? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm Roger Lehman. I'm here on behalf of a client with All County and Associates. We're surveying civil engineering firm. We have a client that we've been working with the authority on for some time to connect them to the public sewer system in Heidelberg Township. And we're in a catch-22 here that we need to figure out, and we haven't gotten anywhere. In that, the house has a failing on-site sewage disposal system. It lies in Heidelberg Township Act 537 Seward area. And when we found out the septic system was failing, we contacted DEP, and DEP said we had to have it connected to the public sewer system because it's in the public sewers in the Act 537. Now, the problem is the closest manhole is, I don't know, 200 and some feet away. And what we propose to do is we do all over is we want to directionally bore down the right of way of the road and connect it to that manhole for this one house. In working with your staff, they've said that we need to extend the sanitary sewer line up the road, which we can't do in the back of one house. The township has said, the township being the local agency has this in their 537 plan as to being sewered. And DEP has said, because it's supposed to be sewered, it's got to be connected to public sewer. We can't replace it on site. We can't fix it on site. And so all we want to do is we want to have permission to connect it to the public sewer system via a low pressure main that our client would bear the cost of, which is far less than digging up the road and bringing a main up the road. Certainly we can stipulate that if the public sewer is ever extended, I don't think it's so much of an if, I think it's a when the public sewer is going to get extended at some point, whether it be the authority here or the township or some other entity is going to extend it up Herman Street and then on the Hillside Road to go somewhere else or other homes. At that point, we could abandon our low pressure sewer main and connect directly to the main as it comes past us. But we can't bear the cost to extend that main we keep hearing about, developers have to do this and developers have to do it. I get that. This isn't a developer. This is Johnny homeowner who has a failing on-site septic system and is stuck between DEP and yourselves. So we're here to just say, we need to move this on. We've been dealing with it for quite some time now, and so we need some input, but we can't continue to go in the circles that we're going.
So, Mr. Lehman, can you specify who the owner is in this case?
I don't know.
Had contact with the owner directly.
So our client is Tim Kunigas, who I believe is the owner representative, because I think it actually may be bank owned.
Right.
It was foreclosed on. It's sitting, as far as I know, it's sitting vacant. And because we can't get any headway here. So the bank obviously wants to sell it. But yeah, do you want the address? Do you have it?
I think I have it, but let me bring up the map and then we can get to it and share the screen.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
So it's 6266 Hillside. 6266 Hillside. Right. It's almost the intersection of Hillside and yeah, it's that one right there. That is correct. And the manhole is right by the bend in Herman. There, and but the manhole is going to you as on forward facing the screen. It's going to the left. No, it's going the other way. It move down the screen. That's where there's where the manhole. That's where the lateral, the existing main is at. Okay, and we want to take and connect that house with a low pressure main, low pressure sewer, E1 grinder pump. We do it 2 times a week all over Eastern Pennsylvania. We don't actually install it. We just design them. And again, we'd be willing to stipulate that in the event that the main were ever actually extended by some entity, that whole area of Hillside and Herman, all the way to Meadowview, that whole area is in the 537 plan. It's supposed to be sewered. The other thing that had complicated it, and I don't know if it's still in place, is there was a corrective action plan in place for that little sewer system there, but DEP has said they don't care if the corrective action plan is in place. They want that house connected to the public sewer system. But again, it's cost prohibitive to excavate the road and have to then repave the road and everything else. That's why we want to do the low pressure sewer, which we do by directional boring. It's a 1-day job to bore down and bore into that manhole and make that connection. So we need some input here from the overall board because we're stuck in this catch-22 between yourselves and DEP.
But I don't think that there's a disconnect between us and DEP. It's more about the application of our policy. Our main extension policy is what we use for new connections. DEP, I'm sure, would be more than happy to have that be implemented so that you can connect. We're happy to have you connect. I think the issue is whether the policy can be waived in this case. And I don't want to put you on the spot necessarily, Chuck, but I know you have more of the technical background of what's going on here.
Well, yeah, our policy says that our public sewer manhole needs to access his frontage, his property frontage. And actually,
We don't.
And actually, well, I know you don't.
Right.
So I actually, typically, I mean, we have for our water main extensions, we have it extend all the way across the frontage. Because, for future extensions. In this case, there's no plan for a future extension because our system we're under a consent order and agreement. So we cannot, regardless of what the Township Act 537 plan says, I'm not aware that that's been updated in a while. We cannot extend
It is not been updated.
the sewer. So that's why our position was, well, you just need to extend the gravity main to access the frontage. You don't have to go across the frontage, but you got to get it there because we don't like longitudinal laterals. or, low pressure laterals or gravity laterals going down the road longitudinally.
So Chuck, just to be clear, our sewer line in Herman Street,
Around the bend.
Right around the-
Like he said.
Yeah, right around there, yes,
So
yes.
it would be,
So
I
we
think
would-
it,
And the property line is up around probably the E in Herman.
so we would be asking for the sewer line to be extended from roughly here.
to the, just beyond the property.
And we can't do that on back of 1 home. And it's far too expensive to dig up a road. It's in the cartway, it's middle of the cartway. You have to dig up the cartway, full stone backfill, new manhole, to move it, under 200 feet. It's just too expensive on the back of 1 home. So that's where I'm saying I'm caught between, I can replace it on site for probably 2/3 of the cost it's gonna cost to do it by the low pressure main. I could probably replace it on site for half the cost it would take if I have to put a line, a new main extension in Herman. But yet DEP says I can't fix it on site because the 537 plan says that entire area is supposed to be served by public sewer, and it's not. And I agree that the 537 plan is old and has not been updated.
So the township SEO made that decision that he would not allow repair. Chris Knoll from Keystone Consulting Engineers,
Rob Corby from DEP said that he would not allow it to happen.
he would not allow repair.
Correct. He said it would not allow it to be fixed on site because of the fact that the township's 537 plan says that must be sewer.
So I have a question. So I thought there was a state law that if you're within 150 feet, you could be made to connect, but if you're not within 150 feet, they couldn't mandate a connection.
It's the 150-foot rule.
Yeah, so Rob Corby since retired. by
We
the way.
did
Yeah,
last
so,
November.
yeah, so I don't understand why, because of a 537 plan, they're implementing a requirement to mandate that you connect and not repair that system. That just doesn't make any sense. to
I
me.
think it's because the 537 plan says that the local agency and by extension, the authority is supposed to have that area sewered. It's just not. It never got sewered. And if it were sewered, that house would have already been connected because it would have fell within 150 feet of the main. So, but it's never been sewered.
Did the Act 537 plan require sewering as an alternative or action item?
I've never seen the township Act 537. I don't know how old it is.
Right.
The 537, it shows a sewered area and that entire area is included in that sewered area. It's just never been constructed. I do know that DEP is, lack of a better term, cracking down on municipalities on having 537 plans in place that they're not following. And so I don't know if this is part of that bigger picture, especially in light of the consent order, because we know we have a problem there. I don't know that, but I just know that Rob Corby, prior to his retirement, said that no, that it had to be connected to public sewer. Maybe if you guys, if the authority, go back to DEP and say, listen, we can't serve this thing with public sewer in an economical way. Please let the homeowner fix it on site. Maybe they'll lament.
Do you own all the property where you need for the deed easements for your?
Now we're going to come down the right of way of the road. It'd be in the right of way of the road, outside the cartway, but in the right of way of the road, which is how we typically do it. Come down and bend right into the manhole.
So from the staff perspective, we have a policy and it outlines how these situations are dealt with. The ability to shorten the extension to just basically the perpendicular. That's an exception that's written into the policy in order to actually waive the policy and allow this idea to happen would require a waiver. And that's something that we would really prefer to have board approval for if that's what's desired. Kevin, maybe you could sort of jump in and describe the policy and help us understand.
Sure. So the policy has been described. There is no built-in exception for this.
Correct.
So as a result of that, staff has to follow the policy unless there would be a waiver. If the board is interested, and there's some, challenges that Chuck could speak to for the system that you're proposing. But if the board was so inclined to do that, procedurally, what would have to happen is there would have to be a motion to amend the agenda if the board was inclined to waive. If the board's not inclined, based, no offense,
I'm saying
based upon the policy, the
That's why we're
application
here.
of the procedures, then there's no action. But if the board was inclined to, then there would be a motion to amend the agenda to allow for a waiver of the policy under these specific circumstances. There need to be a motion, there need to be a second. If in fact there is a motion and a second, there would have to be a vote just on getting it on the agenda. Then you would officially, and then you would officially vote on whether or not you would want to extend the waiver.
I have a couple more questions. So if this were to be approved, who owns the grinder pump and the force main?
It would be the applicant.
They'd own it all through the right of way and everything up to the
Yeah,
connection?
and we can give you all the agreements and give it to Kevin that we, all the other municipalities we deal with, the other municipal authorities we deal with, they all have it in it. What it says in it is that it's owned by the applicant until such time as somebody else would want to connect with. I don't see that happening here. But we put a number of them in where we've gone 1,000 feet past 6 other people. And if other people want to connect to it at that point, then it has to be taken over by some government entity. But yes, it would be the applicant's line.
Do you have actual costs to show what the savings are for the different options? Like
I don't have them with me, but I can get them to you.
Chuck, do you have an estimate on the main extension cost?
Well, it would be, with roadway restoration, it would be at least $100 a foot. And then, with the manhole costs, I'm guessing probably around $20,000, $25,000. That was very rough.
Yeah.
25,000.
So just to kind of get back to the policy side as well, and looking at this in context, Chuck, can you confirm this is the area that's not sewered?
Correct.
Right.
None of Hillside and Meadowview, as he mentioned.
Right.
It's all not sewer. There's no plans to sewer. We don't have capacity.
Correct. Right. So the idea, putting the capacity and the consent order aside, the whole idea of the main extension policy is that the property owners that need service extend the service, and then that allows future upstream or downstream customers who also then extend service. So if we needed to extend service onto Hillside or Meadow, even this small portion of a main being extended up to this property would allow that to happen for other customers without having to reach all the way back to the bend where the manhole is. That's the intent of the main extension policy.
I will say in this case, Hillside, like the name of the road, it's on the hill,
Right.
and it goes up the hill to the left of to the top of the screen. So it all drains down to the intersection with Meadowview. So if you were to extend service, you would go by gravity
Right.
from Meadowview where it ties into Heidelberg Heights Road and then go up Hillside accordingly. You would do an extension from Herman Street.
Okay.
But you said the capacity's there anyway.
To do all those other homes, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
That is correct.
Right.
Not without upgrading the plant.
So
Yeah,
that's the second issue and probably where we need to get some clarification from DEP, because the message that I heard anyway was that DEP was allowing an exception for this property to be connected because it's a failing septic system, even though we do not have capacity at the plant for any new connections. So we can take it on a dry day. It's the wet weather issues and all the problems associated with this system.
We don't have any dry days anymore.
Right, that is true. But my understanding is that DEP basically allowed an exception to the ban on new connections here, specifically because of the failing septic system.
That is
So I'm not sure if that means that they must connect or if it's a preference or what, I'm not sure exactly about DEP's position. I believe I saw that AJ, you had your hand up, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, thanks. Sorry I couldn't be there in person. My name's AJ Capuzzi. I'm Director of Engineering and Asset Management. The question I wanted to bring up was a follow-up on the ownership of the force main. As you said, it goes into the public right of way and then connects into the street. So you're saying that you guys would own the entire force main up to and including where it goes into our manhole? And then,
Technically, that's what the agreement says, yes.
and be
Write the agreement any way you want, but the agreements that we're familiar with in working with other municipal authorities and municipalities, yes.
and you would be responsible for all maintenance and any issue blockages that happen to occur to that line during the operation of that force main.
Yes.
Okay.
And for what it's worth, I can tell you that we've never had one block. But yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I just wanted to just mention to the board, one of our concerns with this sort of scenario was just the fact that you've got a sewer line that's much longer than normal and is in the public right of way. And so there is this whole division of, typically we own portion of it and the owner owns a portion of it. In this case, we just said we'd have to have very good assurances. Sometimes these things sound great, but then when something actually needs to be fixed, there's no one, who do we go to get it fixed, in the middle of the night. So yeah, that's the main reason, one of the main reasons we like to have it go directly from the home to the sewer by gravity, just to minimize potential issues with a longer main.
And I think those are the reasons, AJ, that DEP generally frowns upon long service lines or low pressure service lines as well.
All right. Yep, just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Thanks, AJ.
Liesl, just for the sake of, I think just context tonight, it sounds like this will, conversation will continue to wrap up a few things. Would you mind dropping the little guy there at the intersection of Meadow View and Hillside, just so we can get a street view, since I know Chuck said obviously it's on an incline there.
It's Meadow View
Yeah, and then maybe if we could take the left on, yeah, that'd be great.
sign.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty good grade right there. That goes up to our must.
And is this
That's Sherman right there.
right there?
Yep.
So this is the property,
On the left.
this one right here.
Yeah.
That one right there. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Technology, great. And
It's like we're
so,
there. It's like we're there.
You can go a little bit further, you'll see the manhole.
Do you know how wide the right of way is? Is it 33 feet?
No, it's like, it's 50 there, because it was the subject for subdivision. No, I don't have it on this particular plan. It's a 50-foot right away there.
is this the manhole right here?
No, there's one behind that. Turn around and go back. You missed one.
How do we turn around?
Just shoot with your mouse, just go to the left or the right. Hold your mouse down.
You do a K-turn.
There you go.
Okay.
Just beyond that guy standing there is the man, somewhere
Okay.
the guy standing there is, it's probably in the shadows.
It's in the
It's probably-
shadows, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably in the shadows. You can't see it. But yes. I think it's just to the left of that white car, right in there somewhere.
All right.
So this is just for my sake of understanding. We have an issue with making exception to our policy, which can open up, the door for other people coming and say, well, you give exception to this person, not to me. That's a challenge that, you waive something, then, you open yourself for other people. Second, as AJ mentioned, we have challenges the fact that, 2 months, 6 months, a year down the road, if issue comes up, how are we going to go and resolve that issue? And third, the issue that I think Jeff brought up, he said that it is very costly, but that was not given a number. I think you asked, what is the cost? So that's unknown. difference, 100,000, 5,000, 3,000, one versus the other. I think those are the three pieces that at least from my conversation I picked up, from, my understanding I picked up from the conversation we had today. Anything else that we have missed here?
I mean, I think there's a little bit of an open question on DEP's actual position.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the form.
I will tell you, I think that I get your whole opening up a can of worms for others, but just realize that I think this is a unique situation in that we're in an area that's supposed to be sewered, that's not. DEP has said that it has to be connected as opposed to fixing it on site. So I don't know that you're going to get very many of those when you talk about others coming in. I think that there's a very unique set of circumstances in this particular case. Just throwing that for what it's worth.
That's why the lawyer puts in all the whereas.
Amen. Yes.
Well, one question, if I may, board, do you have some written documentation from DEP that says, in fact, that it must be?
We'll get that to you. I'm sure it was probably in some files here, but we will make sure you get that. Absolutely, from Rob Corby. If you guys want to go back and argue with DEP that we should be able to fix it on site, we're happy with that. Knock yourself out. Because we're saying here, just off the top of your head, 25,000 to just extend the main. That doesn't include connecting it, doesn't include all the other stuff that would go along with it. We can fix it on site for probably in the $25,000 to $30,000 range. We could have done that a long time ago. And so if you guys can argue that with DEP, we're happy for you guys to take that lead and do that. So.
Sorry, I'm just making sure I heard what you said. If we can fix it on site for 25 to 30,000 and connecting it with a main extension is 25 to 30,000.
No, because that's just to extend the main. That's not, we didn't connect it to the main yet.
Right.
We haven't designed and engineered it yet. If we have a lot of other things that are gonna go, we haven't, that doesn't include the cost of EDU. So we have a lot, that's all in, that's another $20,000.
And you don't know for sure on the lot if there's adequate replacement area.
There is. I'm a state certified sewage enforcement, so I know that area. So I know I can cite a spot on that property. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So, but yeah, there's a lot of things other than, we're just talking 25,000 to dig it and put it up the road with full road restoration and stuff like that. But you start adding in everything else on top of it, it's another 20 grand on top of that, easy.
Gotcha.
Is there any advantage or disadvantage for us to talk to DEP?
I mean, I think we should understand what their position
Right.
really is. And of course, with Bob Corby having since retired, there may be a different way of looking at it. As I said, I think what we interpreted from DEP direction was that they were allowing the connection as an exception, not requiring it. So I don't know exactly, where they would land on this. I know that DEP will prefer the main to be extended and a normal connection put in place. But I don't know that they will or won't approve a long low pressure line. I know they have approved it in some cases, but they don't normally prefer that. So there's a couple things to get feedback from DEP on, I think.
I think we have much other things that we have to get to there. So I think
When we come back next month.
so there are a couple of things that has to happen first. I think the first thing, you have to provide us with the information from DEP and what DEP has told you. Second thing, as Mr. Morgan mentioned, that we have to get the cost difference, because if you want to break the exception, I don't want to, that's a big hurdle myself, but I want to see whether I'm breaking exception for $5 or $5,000.
Amen.
That's not clear to us.
Yes.
So let us get those information first. Jeff, anything else that you would like to add?
Not from them, but I think on our end, we should look at the 537 plan. And I think we should contact them and see if they'll allow a sand mound or whatever other on-site sewage options.
It would be in the above ground system.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get this all information, and then we look at for the staff to analyze it and come back to us if there was a need for having a sessions. Then we have to put it in agenda and we'll go through the whole legal process to decide whether we want to vote for it or not. That's based on the board's input.
Works for me.
That sounds good. The only other comment that I have is, just to be clear that we do have, a fair amount of small, I'll call them onesie twosie connections that are happening because of infill and, properties getting subdivided from, one farmhouse into two properties, that sort of thing. So this is not a uncommon type of connection. And, so that's the sensitivity for the precedent. And I know that you're dealing with, Chuck, these small developments and small new connections all the time. So consistency is important. There should be a real justification for making that exception.
Just as a side note along that lines, DEP, because I'm one of 5 people in the Commonwealth that's working with DEP on this, we're revising the definition of malfunction in the revised regulations. Probably be out late 26. And if the definition of malfunction as it's currently proposed actually becomes new regulation, you're going to see a lot of these. Okay, a lot of them.
Are you gonna get rid of the words suspected and potential?
Exactly. You're going right. It's no longer, that's no longer there. So yes, exactly. Okay, so it's going to give a lot more flexibility to homeowners that say, I want to replace my septic system and then connect it to public sewer. So you're going to see a lot of those if that definition, the new definition takes effect this year.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Very good. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Mr. Lehman, do you have contact information for the people you need here to?
I do, but also I'll give you a card.
Okay,
Which
that
is
sounds
my card. And then if you want us back next month, let me know.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, very
Thank
good.
you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So moving on, our next topic on the agenda after the public comment is on the LCA strategic plan. The progress report is on the white pages, digital package, page 629.
Yes, thank you. And I have a brief presentation to share. It's very similar to the handout, but wanted to give a little context and background for our strategic plan. This presentation is also on our website if anyone saw me. So as the board is aware, the board of directors adopted a strategic plan in December of 2021, and it was to cover a 5-year period roughly between 2022 and 2027. It is now 2025, so we're 2/3 or a little over halfway through the planning period. We've been doing progress reports roughly twice a year, and this is a good mid-year point to take a look at where we are. As a reminder, our strategic plan covers, it is broad. It has it covers a mission statement, a vision statement, values, and then these 6 strategic priorities related to regional collaboration, operational excellence, financial stewardship, customer engagement, system capacity and reliability, and employee engagement and safety. Our mission statement being to protect public health and the environment by providing high quality, safe and reliable water service and wastewater service is the overarching goal. It's the reason we exist. And our vision statement was kind of new when we adopted it, to be a trusted and engaged community partner advancing the vitality of our region through exceptional water and wastewater services. So really trying to tie all of these pieces together into what we're focused on in our annual goal setting process and our strategic initiatives. So this is a kind of a broad look at it. And then within our strategic plan, I don't expect you to read this, but we have some of those key elements and more definitions, our vision statement, our mission statement, our values, those 6 strategic priorities. And then within each of those 6 strategic priorities, we've got a number of different strategies and tactics laid out, as well as measures. So there's an awful lot in the plan itself. So what we do every year is take a look at those priorities and strategies, and then also down into the level of the activities that we want to accomplish or that further our achievement in those areas, and try to put together a set of goals for the year that makes sense and furthers, moves the ball forward in a tangible way. So that is what we have before us, and what we're seeing on the screen now are the categories of strategies or goals that we set out for 2025. And within each category, there are a subset of tasks and targets that we're trying to reach. So overall, for 2025, we had established 33 goals. And you can see, hopefully you can see the colors on the screen. The big green piece of the pie are items that are on track and really set to be accomplished this year. The items, the yellow piece of the pie represents items that are started, but possibly behind schedule, not necessarily not going to be accomplished, but behind where we wanted to be. And then there are a small number of items that are in this red category of being at risk. At this point in the game, we haven't removed any of the items. They're all still in the mix. And as we get toward the budget season, toward the end of the year, we'll have to evaluate if there's any that need to be totally removed or moved to next year, or changed in some way. So I have a slide for each of the categories that are shown here, but it is the same as what's in your handout. And I thought I'd just kind of pick through them a little bit one by one to give you an idea of some of the areas where we're doing great or struggling. So under the category of the regional sewer plan, this is the development of the Pines Island Sewer System Act 537 plan. We got 5 different things we're trying to accomplish here, and happy that they're all either green or yellow. We do absolutely believe that we'll have a plan submitted to DEP this year, and we'll have our ducks in a row about how we're handling the I&I program this year. Some of the items that are kind of falling a little bit more behind relate to the intermunicipal agreements, which probably won't start drafting legal language until next year. But we do have a term sheet that's included in the 537 plan. And then some other categories related to sewage billing meters. Pretreatment plant is another piece that I'm actually going to hold off on giving much detail on today because we have a whole presentation that we'll plan to give in August. But this is one that's been giving us some challenges in terms of schedule.
Just ask you a question.
Sure.
I know Phil's not here.
Yeah.
I was just curious about the term sheet that was in the 537 plan. Was DEP on board with that, like up front, or is that gonna be certainly a comment that they want final, agreements, or how is that handled?
Yeah, I think I understand your question, and a couple of responses. First of all, DEP gave feedback that they wanted to see the region develop more regional or collaborative approaches to managing the system. And the term sheet outlines some of those items. DEP also said that we did not need to have a finalized intermunicipal agreement approved as part of the 537 plan, but we do need to have it approved before we get permits on new projects that relate to or rely on cost sharing principles in the agreement. So that's kind of a future thing for future big projects. And as I said, pretreatment plant will hit on next month with a more detailed discussion. All right, this category is a mixed bag of the Tyler ERP implementation, which is our financial software system. I don't want to be too focused on the red items because the important one is the very first one. We did go live last week with our with our new system implementation. Huge shout out to Brooke Needy, our project manager, as well as several people, Chris and Ed and many others, Todd Marion from our accounting department, many others. And so we're live and we're using it and it's working. It'll be a little bit of a process over the next month or so to get everyone kind of up and running with all the new things that it includes, but we're very happy to have achieved that. Some of the items that are in yellow or red are more about integrations with other systems and not 100% sure the timeline of those as we get our feet on the ground again after this very challenging project. Regarding the lead program, we put PD in there so we remind ourselves what that means. The lead program is about meeting the compliance requirements for lead in drinking water. And there's an awful lot to do there. And we're on track for what we wanted to accomplish this year as far as getting the pilot project done, getting our sampling done for compliance. We have hired our 2 canvassers that were in our budget and they're out there doing the door knocking. So we're really making some great progress. The one area that is kind of holding us back just slightly is the resolution of the PennVest funding. So our ability to move forward on cycle 2 or apply for grant funding for cycle 3 depends on us nailing that piece. And that's something we hear about almost every meeting from it. So it's in progress. We think it'll happen this year. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen this year. And then we'll move forward.
Yes. Has there been any snafus in this whole thing that surprised you or?
On the lead program?
Yeah.
I think that not so much snafus, but the realization, I mean, intuitively, we need to have very deep customer involvement for this to work, but how hard that is to achieve, we're kind of coming to that realization we need a dedicated program and approach to getting customers involved. And some of our communications, when we, for example, we did a letter to 40,000 people roughly in October, according to EPA, a required notice saying you have a lead service line or you have a galvanized service line, or we don't know what your service line's made of. Those letters went out to about 40,000 people, and we weren't necessarily prepared for the level of customer inquiries and walk-ins and questions. But it was good learning experience for us, and we handled them. And I think our team, our canvassers, are scheduled out like through September from people calling for inspection appointments from last October. So been keeping us real busy.
Thank you.
On employee engagement and safety, there's really, well, you can tell by the column that shows the person's name, there's really 2 different categories of things. We have things that are more in the HR arena that we're focused on getting our staffing in HR up to full staffing and doing some development around employee training and development. And then we have the safety items, which Ed is handling with our new risk and safety manager, Jeff. And we're making some good progress there. We've updated or we've implemented a new incident tracking system, which will give us more metrics and real-time information on root cause and all those good things. And then implementing some safety drills later this year is one of the key goals. So good progress there. Asset management, AJ gets the gold star for having all green items for this program. We have, we're on track to develop asset management plans for the water filtration plant in Allentown, 50% of the suburban systems, working on our linear assets, meaning our water distribution system and sewer collection system. And then developing a metrics dashboard or a KPI dashboard for asset management. All of those are in progress and planned to be completed this year. Good stuff. We have a couple of other high priority projects, and these are a little more organizational or focused on operational excellence. The risk and resilience plan, it's required to be completed and was completed on time for Allentown. And then we'll have a Central Lehigh version that's due same time next year. Our emergency response plan has been in existence for decades, but really needs an update. It's also required to be updated. So we're going through that process right now. And then also the projects at the pretreatment plant for the critical upgrades, those are on track for this year as well.
Can I just ask a question, just out of curiosity? So for the emergency response plan, the drill, you have the Allentown Fire Department, do they come to the plant and do a tour, or water or wastewater, or I'm just curious?
Yeah, we haven't totally picked out what our scenario is gonna be yet, but that is a possibility of, as far as bringing other resources in, that we may coordinate to make it as lifelike as possible. But as of right now, we have not actually picked the scenario that we're gonna actually drill.
Yeah, I mean, I know some of my clients have done drills, but others have just had them come down and done a tour, and they know where the chemicals are, they know where the chlorine is, just because there's turnover, people retire, so that everybody kind of knows.
So we definitely have done that down at the wastewater plant.
Oh, okay, great.
For like tankage, if there's gonna be a confined
Yeah.
space entry, and
Right.
like you said, the chemicals, where the chemicals actually located on the island.
Yeah. I've actually had another client who they would have the volunteer fire department come in, and they would actually do training at the plant in an empty tank or whatever, and again, familiarizes them with the plant, and they do the training there, so. That's just a thought.
When we've done drills in the past, been more like, call it a tabletop exercise, where we have groups of people here and in other rooms sort of acting as if they were located in separate locations, and just trying to learn what their response would be in a situation and how they would communicate and what their decision-making process is. Very, very helpful to have those as well. So. And the last category, I kind of put the first category last, because these are, to me, these are overarching organizational strategies that kind of tie a lot of different things together. We talked last year about doing a strategic plan refresh, and with everything else that is on our plate, kind of feel like that might not happen, or it definitely won't happen, somewhere in between there this year. We have a lot of other key things, and especially the two items, well, most of the items underneath that, looking at an affordability strategy, looking at rate design and grants, and how we handle partnerships and community partnerships related to affordability. Really important as we're faced with heavier capital project load and the impact on rates. That one is a project that we're just kicking off now, and have engaged with Raftellus to help us with that. So I'm looking forward to that. The long-term staffing plan is also in progress now with a firm called EMA. They are looking for this year at some targeted areas: our I&I program, our lead program, our capital and asset management programs, and to give us more of a industry-based best practice look at how we staff for these projects or for these programs. Alongside that, we're doing a building optimization study to understand where people are going to go if we hire more people, and what upgrades are needed, because some of our buildings are very old and need to be upgraded. So we'll be having that poured out, I'm assuming, in the next couple of months. And then last but not least, the bondholder consent. That is a structural issue we need to resolve, so we know where our financing is coming from for all the projects. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. It's all outlined again in the handout as well. One thing I didn't put on the screen was the strategic plan metrics that's attached to the report that shows some things that we measure routinely. The financial metrics should be familiar to you, because you hear about them every month from Ed. Asset management, we're really focused on corrective maintenance versus preventive maintenance as an indicator of having well cared for assets. We have some safety metrics, which you see every month. Environmental compliance as well. We've been tracking for many years, and you can see how we're doing there. And then we have 2 blocks on the dashboard for capital program and customer care where it says developing metric. We're hoping this year we'll be able to fill in the capital program block with something good with all the various metrics that AJ's working on, all of that. So looking forward to completing that this year. Stop there and take any questions, any comments?
Any question from the board, any comments from the board members?
Yeah, I have a question. Under lower right, employees, number, age, etc. Is there any significance to that?
The vacancy piece is something that we've been watching. Age and years of service is something that I personally have been tracking for about 20 years and have seen it change drastically over time. There was a period of time when our average tenure was over 20 years.
Yeah.
And we've had so many retirements and so much turnover that seeing that number shrink, we're now under 10 years of tenure, kind of gives us a different flavor of focus on employee development and training and cross training that's needed, because we don't have as many of those long tenured.
Is that a reflection on this organization or just life in general, planet Earth?
I think it's our industry, and I think it's life in general. The wave of retirements, for the most part, has happened. That silver tsunami that everyone was talking about, the retirement wave, generally has happened. And so newer employees have come in, and they're more mobile than prior generations. So we have people coming for a short period of time and leaving.
I don't really have a question. I'll say for me in reviewing this over the weekend, I think 2 key pieces for the overall strategic plan, but more specifically the organizational strategies, is obviously the affordability strategy and the long-term staffing plan. So Lisa, I appreciate you speaking to that, a little bit. I think, for me, those are the most critical, again, from an operational standpoint, the most critical steps and things you should be looking to accomplish. So, and I know that the development of those things and the processes behind the development of those things really fuels a lot of what we do as the board, and also the feedback we relay back to you. So again, for me, these 2 items in particular will just continue to remain as those strategic priorities from a board perspective.
Sean.
Any other comments from the board member? Thank you, Lisa, for the great presentation. Just may I add a couple comments. If there are some dates associated, for example, achieve full staffing in human resources, there's a date, because the green and yellow is all associated with the date that we were supposed to achieve, whether we achieve it or not. So you have the milestone under each topic. So what you have to do for example, for employee engagement and safety. So in that box, if you put the dates that, okay, what was the date we were supposed to achieve that? I think that gives us a feeling. Otherwise, we think everything has to happen by end of the year.
Yeah.
So that would be a good thing. If it's not too much trouble, I think that would help us to have a better understanding where the green and yellow, because those are sort of a more of a qualitative than a quantitative measurement. So when you put the dates, I think it brings more.
I will say, Amir, that we do not have dates on everything, but we can add some and.
That's fine. What we start, it's like safety. We started, now we get into them. I think the second thing that I would like to ask, if it is possible, first of all, did a code over the teams get the new ERP system in place? It would be nice for us to get a brief presentation to the board. What are this new ERP system look like? What are the benefits it's going to be to organizations? we spend all the money, at least you have to know, okay, what kind of, how to make the life easier, I don't know, 6 months or a year, things we're gonna see in 3 months, things we're gonna see in 6 months, things we're gonna see in 1 year. How are we gonna, what are the benefits we're gonna be getting? I think most of us, when we went through the approval process, absolutely you have to do it. We just want to see, what are the benefits we get, so at least we have a better understanding that, if we need to talk to in the elevator with somebody, we have these are ERP systems. These are all the cool things can do for us. Jeff, anything else you want to add? This is a conversation I think you and me had a little bit about it.
No, I think when we talked, sort of like giving the sales pitch, like if you were selling it to the board again, like we were doing something this way, now we're doing it this way. I think those were some of the things we talked about in the communication system.
That's true. We can absolutely do something on that. Again, we're still getting our feet on the ground from last week, but yeah, I think we can.
As I know you guys are 537 and I've gone to SAP implementation, I recognize, what it is. All my gray hairs and white hairs coming from that a couple of years that. So I'm not saying it have to be happen next week or 2 weeks or 5 weeks, whenever you guys have the time. You have settled, you have stabilized the system, the new system, whenever you have the time, that would be good presentation that, we talk about some of the general topic presentation. I think that would be a good general topic presentation for the boards to have a better understanding with the new financial system.
I think we'll see some of that also in our budget process.
Yes.
And how the budget looks too. So yeah, very good.
I have one last comment. Sorry, not to be nitpicky, but on this. Me, environmental compliance is just extremely important. So I don't know if you could just change that scale or make that larger so that you have the numbers for all of the graph values, or make it a table. Because a lot of the smaller ones, you don't know what the number is.
Right.
Or some of them are missing. I think it would be great to say, hey, 10 years ago, we had so many SSOs and now we've only had this many, or whatever, just to clarify that.
Okay, we can work on that.
No.
I just want to note that Sean had to leave the meeting, so we still have a quorum. Yeah.
So that was the item on the finance and administration. Thank you, Elisa, for the presentation. Appreciate it. Underwater, we have a Bossacre water system interconnection and PFSA remediation.
Okay.
Is that approval of the blue pages, digital board packages, pages 10 to 13.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I'll introduce the project, and then Amy Kunkel, the project manager, she's going to get into the details. So the purpose of this project is to mitigate the PFAS issue. The PFAS was detected in our Bliss Acres water system that exceeds the recommended maximum contaminant level for EPA and DEP. And this is an option to interconnect this system with our central Lehigh system, and therefore not have to treat the PFAS on site. So this water system is located just south of Macungie Borough. If you go about 2 miles south of Macungie Borough on Route 100, and you go up the hill, and Charmerville's at the top of the hill, to the right is Bliss Acres, so about a half mile on that road, St. Peter's Road it's called. So it's about 100 customers. Right now, we have 2 wells. They're not big producers. And we had a study done, and it's very costly to treat the PFAS on site. And there's other restrictions that Amy's going to get into, other limitations. So I won't steal Amy's thunder here. I'll let her get into it. So take it away, Amy.
Okay. So like you said, Bliss Acres is one of our smaller satellite systems. 2 wells, that have exceeded the PFAS limits. So in 2024, we had a consultant do a study to look at the different types of PFAS treatments in regard to this system and kind of lay out the pros and cons, costs of the different types of treatment. One of the other things we asked them to do was look at extending the system, the central Lehigh system. Part of central Lehigh, there's a higher pressure area called the Kohler system. And over the years, development has inched it a little bit closer to those acres. So they looked at that as well. And they first to make sure it was feasible, and then secondly to kind of give us a cost comparison in lieu of treatment of the wells. So that report, I included the present worth cost of the different systems that they looked at and the alternate water supply. Where the water main extension is initially higher, when they did do a present worth cost, it brought it down much closer to the treatment options. Some of the things, some of the issues we have with treating on site there is our system is on a very small, it's essentially on a residential building lot in the middle of the development on a cul-de-sac. It's about a half-acre lot. When we did improvements to the system about 5 years ago, we did have some issues getting those approvals. Because it is a small lot, we have to go to the township, go to the zoning hearing board, get a special exception because we exceed impervious area with our things. I know local residents tend to oppose any kind of additional buildings and work there at the site. So we took that into account when trying to decide which way we wanted to go. We also took into account operational work, you know, the operations of operating a PFAS system versus the main extension. And then we also looked at this system also has high levels of radon in the water. The improvements we did adding the storage tank 5 years ago, we put in a system to kind of aerate the water and reduce those levels. However, if radon ever became a regulated contaminant, that would require even additional treatment to those wells. So that's kind of an outlier sitting there in the back of your mind as well. So we kind of met internally with, you know, different people, compliance and operations, and decided that we wanted to pursue the main extension alternative. That would be extending the main. There's 2 potential routes, fairly equal, but that either one is determined. We would probably make that decision and design for the final route based upon discussions with PennDOT and the township. It's about 1.6 miles of 8-inch main. We would need to make some adjustments to the Kohler booster station, replacing the pumps there, but it's not a big revamp. You don't have to. The new pumps can fit within the mechanical piping of what's already there. So there'd be some adjustment there. We would still be reusing the existing storage tank that we have and the booster station that we have at Los Acres. So we would just be tying into the feed line to the tank with this. So that's the route we would like to go. So we put an RFP out to 3 consultants, and one of them declined to submit a bid because of their current workload. which I appreciated them being honest about. So we got prices from Gerthorn and Verdantis. Gerthorn was considerably less, but they were the consultant that did the PFAS study, and they also did the initial upgrade of the Bliss Acre system. So they have a lot of familiarity, which I think is reflected in the price. So they had a price of $204,653 for the design of the system. That's what we're recommending. The total cost for the authorization would be $299,653. There's a minor land acquisition that we might need where there's some stream crossings. And then just, staff, things like that go into the whole cost. We expect his design to take about a year with permitting completed, and then we would start look for construction next summer to go. There is also, I believe this project is eligible for MS grants, so that might affect the schedule, but we would want to definitely have that. So I don't know if you have any questions on the alternative or decision.
I have a question, general question. I know nothing about PFAS. This is up in the rural area, in the middle of, I'm gonna say nowhere because it's a populated area. Is this surprising to find PFAS? You're there and everywhere?
Well, if I could jump in, that I live near there. And so it's rural, but there's a little like town center sort of there. There's a gun range there, which is there's a old textile place there. So there were some there was some commercial activity in that immediate area that potentially could be the cause. We don't have a trace of where it actually came from.
Yeah.
And I don't believe the PFAS levels are really high, but they are over the DEP limit.
So they're not over the DEP limit, but they're over the EPA's limit. So I don't have the exact number in front of me, but let's just say we're looking at right around 8 to 12 to 14 parts per trillion for PFOA and PFOS in this system. And if you recall from the DEP ones that we were talking about prior, that those limits are 18 and 14. So we're just below the Pennsylvania limits, but we are well over the 4 parts per trillion for the EPA limits.
I have a question. When you did the concept study, was there any consideration of drilling new wells and connecting, or is it the water quality in the area considered so bad? I mean, is that a permitting nightmare, or is there any? I mean, I'm just curious because we're at like 2.3 million for construction. Would a different source be a possibility?
One thing I can comment on, Jeff, I know developing a new well is very costly and very prohibitive with regards to like your grandfather now, development around the well, but in developing a new well, you'd have to satisfy all the wellhead protection zone requirements. That would be very difficult. We'd have to obtain a tract of land somewhere remote from the development. Likely, we'd have to acquire a large tract of land to satisfy the wellhead protection zone requirements.
I knew a little bit about that, but I just didn't know that this area, if there was that, was a possibility. Certainly not doing it here, right? But maybe there,
we could not drill like within the development anywhere.
Right.
And right now, the wells are like right in the development.
Gotcha.
I mean, like Amy said, there's 2 wells and there's a Gary site and a Laurie site. They're called named after the roads, and they're each on residential lot.
Okay.
So I don't know where. I know there's farmland around there, but
Yeah, and what we found in looking at wells for other systems as far as for redundancy, yeah, you do need the area, so you need to find the tract of land. You would then need to get the water back to our treatment facility. And then, and there's really no guarantee. I mean, you can go down the road of, you could have all those things and go down the whole well testing road and not have it pan out. And then you've wasted a good year time kind of doing that. So
I know a secondary consideration that was a negative for the on-site treatment is that there's no public sewer in the development. And so you have to backwash these filters, and where's that water going to go? I don't know. That probably couldn't put it in a storm basin.
well, there's no storm.
Well,
It's
we
in the
have
development.
sort of like a makeshift one at one site.
They let you, we would have to haul
Yes, it would have to be pumped.
But the backwash is fluorocarbon, so you have, that might be considered hazardous waste.
Right. Right. So that,
Disposal of that is not going to be an easy task by itself.
yes.
I'm sorry, any other question from board member? Hands up. Picture.
I think that's just a cursor.
Oh, did that, okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, yes. it's
I'm
mine.
sorry, I thought I was at hands up.
So just some additional background, the Kohler, Amy referenced the Kohler pump station. That's located along Chestnut Street, kind of between McCungy and Emmaus, like right near Hatfield Meats. If you know where that is, near the triangle, there's what's that restaurant, diner?
Trivet.
Trivet,
it.
yeah.
Right next to the new bridge.
Oh, yeah, right next to the new railroad bridge.
So meanwhile, till we get this project online, and do we plan to give a picture with the PFAS filter to people, or what is our goal, since we are below a limit of the DEP and higher than EPS? So it's sort of funny things. I'm just trying to see, do we plan to do anything or not?
We have not discussed it, and I think it's because of that uncertainty question mark. We're below Pennsylvania, above EPA.
Fair enough.
We technically were in compliance now.
Okay, thank you. That's good answer, and thank you, I appreciate that. Any other question from board member? Okay, we're seeking authorization with the amount of $299,653 on the capital project for design phase Boss Acres Central Lehigh Division water system interconnections.
So moved.
Thank you, Linda.
Second.
Thank you. Moved by Linda and second by Jeff. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those. Motion passed. Thank you, Evan.
Thank you.
Moving to the next one is the monthly project update. It is on the digital board package pages 14 to 21.
So the monthly project update is in your packet and online, and we've covered a lot of the items that are in the report already today. I just want to give a highlight or two for coming events. At our next meeting, we do plan to have tapping fees before us again. That's an annual thing we usually do in July. Next meeting is relatively short, though. We've got tapping fees in the monthly reports. In August, we have a couple of preview items. We do plan to have a presentation or discussion around the industrial pretreatment plant in August. And then looks like we have a project at Pines Island we'll be bringing in August as well. That's described in the project update section of the report. Capital plan presentations will start in August too. Thank you, Chuck. So August will be a busy month, and then we're heading right into budget. So hold on to your seats. We'll give you one more easy meeting in 2 weeks. And then there's, of course, a long list of open projects that are still in progress. So any questions on anything, we're happy to try to answer.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, appreciate that. Moving on, staff comment.
I have nothing additional.
Okay, thank you. Solicitor comments.
No comments, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any public comment?
No, thank you, Amir.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer, Brian, for being here. Any board member comment? So we will, it's 1:15, let's take a 10 minutes break. To start at 1:25.
Okay.
The meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.